These are 3 things that you can change today that will shape who your children become. Most of us think we need more time, more money, more patience, more answers. I don't think that's true. I think there are 3 things most of us could change today that would immediately change how our children experience us. And none of them cost a penny. In this week's episode, we are still going to be answering the important questions, and we're still challenging the way that we approach our role and the influence that we are having on our children's young minds. Welcome back. This is Answer Me This, part of the Fatherhood in Focus podcast. I'm Aidan, dad, host and founder of the Modern Fatherhood Club. Every week, I ask you one uncomfortable question. Not to shame you, but to sharpen you. Because this series is about legacy, impact, and the man that your kids are actually seeing when you walk into the room. The world is happy for you to just cope. We're here to help you choose how you show up, how you lead, and how you love. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe there too. And look, head over to themodernfatherhoodclub.com where you can grab some of our free resources. They're built to support you from those early messy days right through to the years when they're shouting at you from across the room. All right, take a breath. This week's question is going to test you. Let's get into it. So look, we're still challenging the role and the influence that we're having. Because your children, they don't become who you tell them to be. They become who they spend time around, which means whether you realize it or not, well, you're teaching them every single day. And that means they're going to become the best and the worst of you. They'll adopt your strengths, your weaknesses, your beliefs, your fears, your values, and even those blind spots we've talked about before. When I look back at the mistakes I've made, the moments I'm least proud of, well, they weren't about parenting. They were about pressure. They were about what my boys felt from me. My tone, my energy, my absence, my frustration. And over time, well, I've realized there are 3 things that have far more influence than we give them credit for. And it's understanding these 3 things that can change the way you approach that next challenging moment, the next outburst, the next opportunity to pick them up when they've fallen, or even that next story before bedtime. So here's lesson 1. Your tone, well, it becomes their inner voice. Children hear tone before they hear words. They know whether you're calm. They know whether you're stressed. They know whether you're available, and they know whether they're safe. And as they get older, well, they get more confident and they begin to question and challenge that tone. They'll hear it and feel it before you've even had a chance to get your point across. I've said before that when pressure builds, well, my tone changes. Not intentionally, but it changes. And when it changes, the entire atmosphere in the home changes. The challenge isn't what you're saying. The challenge is what they're feeling in that moment. Because the tone you adopt, well, it changes their response. Do they meet fire with fire? Do they meet warmth with warmth? Do they mirror your calmness or your frustration? So here's the question. Ask yourself, when my children hear my voice, do they hear belief or pressure? Because eventually, your voice becomes theirs. And it's that inner voice that shapes their approach to every setback and every opportunity. And what's harder to overwrite or rewire, well, it's this. The disconnect or the disappointment they feel, even when it's not intentional. So imagine your child at 30 facing that difficult moment. What voice are they going to hear? Is it encouragement or criticism? How do they face it? Is it head up or head down? How do they deal with that self-criticism? Is it a never-ending cycle that beats them down? Or is it a reflective pause that creates a moment to reset and go again? Do they learn the lesson and adapt? Or does the lesson leave them questioning whether they're good enough? See, the problem is, this inner voice, well, it's built over time, but most importantly, is built in the small moments. Those moments when you're close, before bed, whilst reading a story, whilst playing that game. These are the opportunities to reinforce how you feel about them, to ask them what lessons can be learned from a tough day and what wins they can lean into when they're feeling a little uncertain. Your tone matters. Your facial expressions matter. They read your tone and your emotional response, even if it's not on show. Because coldness, it creates a disconnect. A frown, well, it creates uncertainty. A look of disappointment, well, that undermines their self-worth. And then that's what they'll chase. Validation. The importance of other opinions. They'll chase thoughts of those that don't really understand who they are or what they're working on or toward. So now let's look at lesson 2. They are learning how to handle pressure from you. See, one of the most uncomfortable questions I've answered is this. If my boys copied exactly how I handle pressure, would that help them? And my honest answer, not entirely. Because they'd learn resilience, but they'd also learn isolation. They'd learn how to endure. Children don't learn pressure management from books. They learn it from us. And it's how we build it over time, with examples, with moments where we share how we feel about certain things. It's how we celebrate the wins and the setbacks. I'm terrible when it comes to self-promotion. I take pride in my work and my progress and approach to challenge. And when it pays off, well, I take it in my stride. There's no chest thumping, look at me, look how awesome I am. I keep it to myself. I enjoy the moment and I share it with those I love. But I don't need to shout it from the rooftops. Terry, well, she hates that. She's constantly calling me out. You need to share it. It's a big deal. But I decline. I guess maybe deep down, I'm proud, but maybe not as proud as I could be. But in reality, well, your kids need you to celebrate the wins just as much as learning from the losses and the setbacks. Because when you talk about your success or your achievements, they'll see a different side to you. They see that hard work pays off. They see dad smiling, happy, content, focused on that next opportunity. And more importantly, well, they see what it looks like to achieve something and the pride that comes with it. That's what our role is. Henry came to me after a football tournament last week. He said, Dad, are you disappointed in me? No, son. Why would you think that? I said. Well, I said I'd score, but I didn't. And my response? I'm proud because you contributed. You were smiling. You looked like you were having fun. And you did things in the matches that you've not done before. Henry, I'm proud because you played. And every week you're improving. But you don't have to do it for me. This is for you. If you're proud and you're happy with what you did during those games, then I'm happy. See, my personal goal isn't to force him to work hard at something. My goal is to help him understand the importance of that hard work and the reward that comes with it. Football for me is just our opportunity to work together and learn from each other. It's about understanding that the more effort we put in, well, our better chance of success. But it's never guaranteed, and that's always been the message. And that's why we must model resilience. See, we've got to model connection, model pride, model openness, model wins and losses, and the lessons learned from both. We've got to show them how to carry the weight without carrying it alone. And we've got to show them what it can feel like to achieve something. But also, we've got to bring them close and explain what it took to get there, how it makes you feel and what it means. Because they need to see and feel your self-confidence just as much as your strength and resilience. You see, resilience without connection, it becomes isolation, and isolation isn't the strength. And that's why we need to talk about pride. Because pride, well, it creates the blueprint for their self-esteem. Now let's look at lesson 3. The return matters more than the mistake. And this might be the biggest lesson of all. You're going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong. Every dad listening to this is going to get it wrong. The question isn't, will mistakes happen? The question is, what happens next? Do you reconnect? Do you explain? Do you bring them back in? Because security isn't built through perfection, it's built through repair. And your ability to repair, well, that creates the bond that's going to see them through those tough times. It's your willingness to go back and say, you know what? Daddy made a mistake here, and he shouldn't have done that. They'll see that you're not perfect. But they're also going to learn that you have a willingness to repair, and that willingness is bringing you closer together. It's forming a bond that'll stand the test of time. It'll teach them how to return when they challenge you or mum, but importantly, it'll teach them, even in the heat of battle, those that really love you won't only have your back, but they'll be ready to treat you with respect and repair if they've overstepped the line. Look, children, they don't need flawless fathers. They need us to return again and again and again. They need fathers that don't back away from the challenge, even when the chaos explodes all around them. So the real lesson, I think, is this. Your children won't remember your perfect days. They'll remember how you came back after the difficult ones. They'll remember how you made them feel in the aftermath and how you made them feel because you were strong enough to accept that sometimes Daddy got it wrong. So if you want more influence, if you want to have an impact that lasts a lifetime, you've got to start here. Your tone, your relationship with pressure, your ability to reconnect. Because these 3 things, they shape confidence, self-worth, security, trust, and ultimately the adults that your children become. And ultimately the adults your children become. Thank you. I'm here because I lost sight of what was important and it almost cost me everything. But that challenging time, it taught me about duty. It taught me to live aligned to the things that matter and to never overlook the small stuff and my impact on their world. I've made mistakes. I've missed moments. But I'm not letting them define who I am. Remember, your kids, they don't need a dad who has it all figured out. They need a dad who's willing to look in that mirror and keep becoming. So if you're here, if you're scrolling between pressure and exhaustion, and it's starting to make you feel a little uncomfortable, my friend, you're in the right place. This is where we talk about what matters. This is where you answer the questions that keep you up at night. This, I believe, is where you get to the truth. Not just about what it means to be a dad, but what it takes to become the father they'll never forget. As always, write it down. Dive into the detail. Create something so powerful and unique that you cannot wake up and not move toward it. Remember, you're working to create the version of dad that they need to see. Because, my friend, if you get this right, they're going to live how you lived. They're going to love how you loved. Listen how you listened. Prioritize the way that you did and show up in the lives of those they love the most, just how you did. And this is the role of the modern dad. Stability, strength, passion, perseverance, pride, and above it all, love. All right, so that episode was slightly different, but there were questions in there for you to answer. So as always, you've just spent a few minutes doing what most of us avoid, slowing down, being honest, and looking at how you really show up. And that matters more than you know. Because your kids, they don't need a perfect man. They need the honest one, right? The dad who's willing to reflect, reset. The dad willing to lead from the front, even when he's tired, under pressure, or coping more than he'd like to admit. If this episode landed for you, subscribe to the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there too so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And if you haven't yet, come and join us at themodernfatherhoodclub.com. There you are going to find free resources and reflection questions. You're also going to find the ultimate new dad toolkit, which includes our antenatal companion and access to support direct from me. Any questions will always be answered. And we've also got the new Dad Recharge course for those of you that are ready to realign your energy and priorities. And we've got details of our upcoming antenatal course too for new and expecting dads. Look, I'm not perfect, neither are you. But we're committed. We are committed to leading with confidence, strength, openness, and heart. We are committed to giving our kids the version of us that's present, not just productive. Thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for doing the work. This is the Modern Fatherhood Club. This is Answer Me This, part of the Fatherhood in Focus podcast. Lead from the front. And never underestimate the power you have over who they become. I'll see you in the next episode.